Now, how many of you use a post-daybreak stand entrance? This is something we've used for many years, and there's certain stands that you just can't enter right at daylight or right before. Now, some stands, there's no set time for when you should enter a morning stand. And I want to talk about the setup for this because I want you to plan on this for hunting season. I don't like when I hear you got to be in your stand a half hour before, an hour before, 45 minutes. There's no perfect time, because if deer are going to be downwind of you before it gets daylight, then you don't want to be there. And so it's all about where the deer are going to be. And in a case like this, we need thermals to lift for one thing. That's one part of this. But anywhere you have a stand location where you have to access through ag or deer or food plots to get to it, but it still has great morning movement, then you want to wait till after daybreak. In this case right here, we can actually come in through a non-deer area on the back side of that power line over there. You can see our redneck blind way in the background. That's actually only on a 5-foot stand, because then it allows it to just be above the sumac and gray dogwood. So we access on the back side of that. We can actually look out over this field and we can see there's no deer here. Now, we have switchgrass all the way around this. We have a little bit older switchgrass that's coming in, but then we have a lot of little switchgrass that's starting to come in there. I would suspect, because this is fairly weed free, we won't have to mow this switchgrass or touch it, and it'll probably be in that 40-inch range, 3 feet. So it's still going to offer a good buffer. For example, a deer that's over the hill and down here 20 or 30 yards wouldn't be able to see us coming across the field. That being said, we can get across this field. We have good switchgrass cover on all sides. Deer aren't bedding right on the edge, and if they are 10 yards in, they won't see us. We'll be quietly walk through this field after daybreak, let's say a half hour after. We'll look out over here. Everything's okay. We can sneak in, look out over a corner, and walk directly to that stand right there. Now, what's perfect about that is just on the inside, there's great cruising trails within 20 to 25 yards of that stand. Also, you can see this right here. We have a really nice road through here that comes out right into this corner, and deer continue on this edge, just really nice thick edge. So that's all, you know, deer strategy and hunting strategy, but the bottom line is we can get in and out of here right after daybreak without spooking deer. We couldn't think of hunting this stand and coming back in here right before daybreak, because we'd spook a lot of deer out in this field, out in this food plot. Once we get in here, once you get into a stand like this, we can blow our scent out into this field, because deer generally aren't walking out through the middle of this field during daybreak. But even better yet, we can blow our scent right off this ridge system. So maybe you have a lake, a swamp, a river that deer don't get into, a wet swamp, a cliff system, rock, somewhere where deer don't go to, a house, a neighbor's house, barn, horse pasture. We had a horse pasture stand. We even called it the horse pasture stand, where we couldn't get into there before daybreak because deer would go through the horse pasture before daylight. Our wind would settle down into them and we'd spook them. We'd ruin our hunt before it even began. A lot different with this, because we can actually get in here when we don't spook deer, get into the stand, and in this case, we can blow our scent right up here. This is actually a small little clover hunting plot where Dylan's standing. So we might get some pass-through movement here. And my favorite place to get to is we get there, it's after daybreak, so the thermals are rising. We blow it off that ridge system. We can actually blow it over the deer. They're traveling by on the bench below the stand, and the deer won't smell us because it's going right over them. So this is a secondary spot we can blow our scent. That's a primary spot we want to blow our scent. So we can get about 180 degrees of wind, 90 degrees here, 100 degrees there, 100 degrees here, whatever it is. And we can get a lot of direction of wind to get into a spot like this. And again, we call this a post-daybreak stand entrance. Long ago, I was watching a video, and they're showing a giant buck, 180-inch buck that was across the field. And it was probably a 160-acre field. And they're looking at that, and they're just looking at like, well, there's no way we can hunt that buck, because they couldn't get in there in the morning and get around that field. The field was the property, so they couldn't go. They had to go through the field. They'd spook the deer out there. In the afternoon, they couldn't get out without spooking out all the deer. And I just wanted to jump into the TV and hunt that buck, and just go in there an hour after daylight and walk straight across the field, sit in a stand about 10 yards into the edge, and then watch that edge, because you can bet that giant would have been cruising the inside edge looking for doe scent during the rut. It would have been an outstanding spot to hunt. And that's where this post-daybreak stand entrance, you know, a lot of you look at it, we have clients. We'll be right back to the video, but I'm really excited to announce our 4th annual Camp Kicking Bear charity event. Every dime we raise goes to Kicking Bear. We have spots, Habitat Day spots. It's an all-day affair, starts at 10 o'clock on June 15th. But it's a Habitat Day. We provide lunch, breakfast, refreshments, plenty of time for questions. It's $200 per person. You can bring your kids. Kids are free. We had 43 kids last year. It's open to 60 people. We already have over half those spots taken. And then we also raffle off at that time. You can buy $100 raffle tickets for a hunt on our property. It takes place at the end of September. We host you. We love having you out. We have a great time with that. We made good friends with the 3 previous winners with that. It's been a lot of fun. Every dime, again, goes to Kicking Bear. We have a great time. Make sure to check it out in the link in the description. Now back to the video. We have clients, we set up stand locations where you walk across a 2-acre food plot, blow your scent out into the 2-acre food plot, and you can hunt that from the hours of, say, half hour after daybreak, and then sometime about 3-4 hours before dark. That's when deer might start filtering into the food plot. We don't want to spook them at all. Then we get out. So we can have a really good long sit. And some of these, not this one right here, but some of these we even couple with a water hole. So we can come in here and watch a cruising water hole stand set up where we can get in here post daybreak. And I've sat in a stand like that over in Wisconsin on the property back then. I think it was, let's say 2009, 2010, somewhere around there. Watched 13 bucks until 1 o'clock. And there were none of the shooters I wanted. He never came to the water hole, but it was a really enjoyable sit just from daybreak and then sit until about 1, 2 in the afternoon and watching those bucks continually come into the water hole. I just blew my scent safely out into the field. But that's the aspect of it. It's out of the box thinking where you're looking at it, how can I hunt this incredible edge? How can I develop that edge, maybe even a water hole? And how can I get into there and hunt it and take the advantage of all the movement that takes place, in this case in a back corner like this, and that's how you do it. It's a really good setup. I encourage you to try it, use it. We actually have a water hole we're actually going to walk into. Dylan hasn't seen the water hole installed yet in the stand, but it's back here. It's about 100 yards back, about 150, 25 yards, 150 yards from this point. We come into it completely in a different location. We actually, when we walk in from here, we're 150 yards back in the woods, about 100 feet in elevation down, coming up the side hill to get into it, waiting for the deer to come back to us. That's one we would use. So we'd get into that one. I call that a just-in-time stand because I want the thermals to be lifting on either side of the point. So I don't want to get in there an hour early because I could spook deer because the thermals are still saturating down. I want to get into that one about 10, 15 minutes before daybreak and enjoy that hunt. So I call that just in time. And then there's stands where our downwind is blocked and we can get into that stand location. It drops off a cliff, goes into a waterway, a house system, whatever it might be, barnyard, where we know deer are not going to cross downwind even before daylight. And that equals a perfect setup for you to slip into a location an hour before daylight and wait for the deer to come back to you after daylight, as opposed to this post-daybreak stand entrance where we're coming in a half hour, 45 minutes after, making sure the conditions are clear to get in. And then we have the just-in-time stand back there and water hole set up, which is why we don't have a water hole set up here. I can't wait to hunt that. That's a literal all-day rut hunt, even a mid-October hunt where we can expect good things to happen. And we can't wait for that setup, and we can't wait to hunt this setup again this year. And I hope that makes sense. Try to plan for these post-daybreak stand setups and add them to your arsenal going into this fall for increased success in stands you might have thought are unhuntable if you don't take this approach. Hey guys, thanks for watching the video. I really want to encourage you to check out digital land management through whitetailstrategy.com. These concepts that I manage for and that I go to clients, 1,600 clients in 26 states over the last 20 years, we're putting into a digital platform so you can take those concepts and you can apply it to anywhere a whitetail roams. Doesn't matter if it's private land or public land. For example, on private land, you could take a food plot, add it to this location, see how it hurts you or helps you in the whole scheme of morning hunting, afternoon hunting, add a cabin, add a road. Check out parking spots on public land where you think clear cuts are and see how that affects your overall hunt with multiple properties in any state where whitetails are and where you hunt. Check it out. Be some of the first to sign up. Check out whitetailstrategy.com. Follow the link, sign up, answer the questions, and we can give you more when we have it available. Thank you.